Welcome to a royal occasion. In the background you can see the King of Sweden, Gustavus II Adolphus, who is the one back in 1620 that decreed a drilling and grinding plant for musket barrels to be based in the Husqvarna area. Originally based in Jokopling, the factory was moved to Husqvarna because a gunpowder factory had already been built there. The arms factory belonged to the government up until around 1757, when it was passed into private ownership. The arms production continued, but in the middle of the 19th century, manufacturing of civil products started. The first products were hunting rifles and later sewing machines. And it was right around 1872 that the first Husqvarna Viking sewing machine was delivered. That was my attempt to like a crowd cheering, you know what I mean? Well, obviously, the machine in the shot here is from a much later time. I'm going to turn down our royal music real quick here. It's from a much later time than 1872. This particular model, which is from the Viking 6000 series, and specifically is a model 6030, originated in the 1970s. Some of the first colormatic machines actually started much earlier than that, almost a decade earlier, in the 1960s. And then eventually they developed this model later part of 1960s, early part of 1970s. But it's a fabulous machine, as you probably have already seen in the Facebook posts. It sews majestically. It truly does. And it's also a very easy machine to maintain. You can see across the top. Most machines from the Husqvarna Viking family are going to have oiling points. They don't have any on this machine because this was the beginning of the philosophy that they could make it pretty much self-lubricating. Kind of like that raceway area, which is supposed to be jam-proof and doesn't require any lubrication. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. That's not entirely true. I went through this machine very carefully and I found a number of points that most assuredly needed lubrication. So my sincerest apologies, Your Majesty, the King. You know what? Marketing's great, but with all due respect, Your Majesty, this 6030 most assuredly needed some careful preparation, some careful cleaning, some careful and calculated lubrication. What can I say? You know what? When you're promoting a machine, you're going to tell your tale. And as they were beginning to position this model 6030 back in the latter part of the 1960s, going into the 1970s, they wanted to tell a tale of a machine that needed very little care, was very, pretty much a no-brainer. But I'll tell you one thing, any machine that generates stitches like this is going to need lubrication, servicing, and care to continue to be able to deliver this complex and detailed of stitch output. And I haven't even shown you the most complex of those stitches yet. And I oftentimes will bumble through the process of trying to get the right name for a stitch. Well, thank goodness when they came out with this particular model, and they came out with the other models that were in the 6000 series, they took mercy on a guy like me that oftentimes can get it wrong. And so I'm going to just flip through this book real quick, and then I'll do a couple of sew-offs for you, okay? So what you'll find when you look at this book, and the title of it I love, and it's spot on, Professional Stitches at the Twist of a Dial on the new Viking 6000. Well, this is, you know what, that's not a fable. They really do make it fairly easy when you're color coordinating knobs to get the right stitch output. And this particular machine comes with a variety of different cams. It comes with A, B, C, D, and then there's also, as you'll see when we look at this book briefly, there's also a number of other cams beyond this. Not that the average person is probably going to need all of these cams. All right, bite your tongue, Scott. We need all of the cams. Well, I can't offer you with this model all of the cams. I can offer you A, B, C, D, and I, but I can't offer you some of the other ones that this book is going to highlight, unfortunately. But back to my original thing of me bumbling and getting stitches wrong quite often. The first one that they're going to point at, and I've already sewn this off camera, is the overlock stitch. They also highlight the elastic straight stitch, the elastic blind stitch, the blind hem stitch. It goes on. Take a breath, Scott. The double overlock, the rick-rack, the double action stitch. Boy, that sounds almost like a gun. The serpentine, the shearing stitch. That's a fun one. Here's one that I'd love to take a deep breath on. Point de Paris hem stitch. And if any of you are French speaking and I totally blew that one, let me know. The bridging stitch, the overcast stitch. That sounds like a weather report, doesn't it? Am I going the wrong way? I don't know. Maybe. What else do they give us? Ah, at last. The decorative stitches and the cams that go with this model 6030. So what you can see on here, I've got to flip my screen the other way. Let's see, let's zoom in on this here. So there's cam D, and I already did stitch offs from that. Cam E I do not have, but you can certainly source it readily online. Cam F I do not have. I should have started with the ones I had, right? I'm offering a machine for sale. Come on, Scott, get it right, buddy. You took Marketing 101. Cam I do have this one. As a matter of fact, it's in the back of the machine, and you can see it generates a cute little sailboat, a little Scotty dog, a really funky stitch to the right of that, and another funky stitch to the right of that. I don't have my cheat sheet, so I'm not going to try to call them because I'll probably get it wrong. There's Cam H, which I do not have. Cam G, I do not have. So look at the opportunity here. I'm offering cams A, B, C, D, I. I do not have cam E, F, G, H. So that's 4 cams that if you purchase this machine, you can go on a relentless quest and try to find those cams. I don't think it would be horribly difficult, but that would really give you some crazy stitch output options then, right? I mean, already with the 5 cams that are being offered with this model 6030, you can generate, each one of those cams has 4 stitches, as the little color band up here would kind of cue us to. So with each of these cams, you're going to get 4 stitches. So if you had all of the cams, all 6 cams that are highlighted in this book, you do the math. That's 24 stitches, right? So I'm offering 5, so there you have 20 stitches, right? So not too bad. Did I do that math right? Gosh, I hope so. 4 times 6 is 24. At least it was when I was in school. So I'm offering A, B, C, D, and I, so that's 5 cams, 20 stitches. I almost feel like it's my big fat Greek wedding. So there you go. All right, so there's cam A, already did the stitching on that. Cam B, some beautiful stitch opportunities through this machine. Cam C, did that one. Cam D, and did that one as well. Now, a couple of stitches were similar, so I may have skipped them on the cam output, but the majority of them you can see represented on this page. And also you can see them kind of more accurately represented here as a stitch output of ones that I already did off camera. I think they're gorgeous. I really do. You know, if you're looking to do quilting with this machine, number one, you've got the huge bed, you've got the huge harp space, you've got the overall bed length to be able to turn materials on. It's nearly impossible to beat these machines when it comes to overall bed length. Even if you go to a long arm, I've done a side-by-side on some recent videos where I've shown one of these Husqvarna Viking. This is kind of a semi-vintage machine from the latter part of the 1960s going into the 70s. But the bed length is consistent with what you would see now on what they're calling long arm machines. So why don't we just call it a Husqvarna Viking 60/30 long arm? That's pretty much what we're looking at. And it also has the wonderful feature as we look over on this side, with you slide a bobbin on there and it automatically disengages that clutch. You don't have to do anything else. It's just automatic. And you've seen that on the green machines as well. And again, the color settings on this Made in Sweden model 60/30 is so simple. I mean, as you're looking to sew different outputs, you go blue, 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 you match it, or you go yellow, 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 or you go red, 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 or you go purple, 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 or you go, what did I miss? Green, green, green. And you're going to be able to sew that stitch just lickety split. I mean, it's so easy. And that's why they developed the Colormatic series, which this 60/30 is a proud part of, because they wanted to make it simple, but at the same time, as that book suggested, being able to develop and generate crazy professional output decorative stitch patterns. So really a cool machine. I love it. And it's very easy to operate. It's very easy to thread. I'm not going to go through the threading in detail. I'll just say you come off the spool pin in the back where the king is, and then you come through this thread guide right here. The thread actually snaps in there, so it's not going to come loose. You then come over the top. You go through the tension discs there on the left. You come down around this. This is actually going to be basically your tensioner right here. This is going to regulate that upper tension through that spring. You then come back up to the take-up arm, and you can see how easy it is on this one. You don't even have to thread it through there. You just slide it over the top and it drops right into place. You then come right past that really cool royal crest. Had to point at that there. Come straight down. You come through this thread guide. You come through that thread guide. And then finally you're going to thread this machine from front to back. And the flat side is obviously going to be in the rear, because that's the way you would slide the needle in. So just gosh, I love this machine. I'm almost kind of reluctant to sell it, not to mention, look at the clearance underneath the presser foot, and look at those feed dogs. The feed dogs on this 60/30 are, in my opinion, even more robust than some of the other Green Machine series, which means it's going to move that material no matter what you put underneath the presser foot, just like a dream. You're not going to have any feed issues whatsoever. And obviously this extension bed comes off very easily, and then you can have a free arm. You can access your bobbin more readily. It's got a great little support leg system on the end to give you a nice stable sewing surface as well. All right, blah, 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 blah. And we don't even have any music to listen to, Scott, while you're rambling on, my friend. All right, so let me do these two stitch offs. I'm going to do two for you, kind of like I showed you in the little book. And we obviously need something for you to listen to while I am talking. A little bit more royal music here. All right, so what we're going to be sewing off is, I will try to show you as best as I can. There it is. So down here on the bottom, I'm going to see if I can get it in the shot. Right there, we're going to be sewing off the sailboat one right here. Am I showing you? Yeah. And then we're going to be doing the little Scotty dog one. Those are the only 2 stitches we're going to do, because I've done all of these already, right? All right. So let me line this material up and let's get busy. And I should probably make sure that I actually have these stitches set correctly, right? That might be helpful. So our sailboat one is going to be a blue stitch. Yes, I actually have all the knobs set properly. I'll sew this off and then I'll show you what that looks like so that the colormatic magic really kind of gets across. All right, so here we go with a sailboat pattern. I may not sew all the way down or I'll probably run out of storage space. Oh, I made these teeny tiny. All right, you could definitely make them bigger than this. These are like microscopic sailboats almost. All right, I'm going to stop there because I set this so small. We're going to run out of music and everything else. So let me do this. Let me give this a clip and then we'll do the little Scotty dog. And the Scotty dog again is going to be a yellow pattern. I'll verify that just so we get her right. So you can kind of see it there. Boy, I made those little guys tiny, didn't I? Tiny little sailboats. All right. You know, that again is the beauty of when you're doing stitch output, decorative stitches. You can get so many different outcomes depending on where you set that stitch length and stitch width. And the Colormatic is going to give you some general guidelines, but it's not going to give you all the answers. Yeah, it looks like our Scotty dog is yellow, so I'm going to actually, let me move the camera over there and I'll show you how I set this yellow one. As we feel very royal with our music. All right, so let's go up here. Come out a little bit, Scott. There we go. Okay. So we've got our 3 dials there, right? We've got our 3 dials. This is our stitch selector. This is going to be, excuse me, this is going to be our stitch length and our stitch width on the bottom. And if you're unsure about that, if you end up getting a machine like this, they've got a wonderful guide right here on the inside showing you, well, I don't know what I'm showing you because I don't have my screen turned around. Okay, there we go. Showing you the entire layout of the machine. It's labeling each one of them. So here, for example, they show number 30. It's going to be your stitch selector. This is going to be, well, this is your reverse button in the middle, obviously. But then, what does that say? 29? 29 is going to be your stitch length. And then this one is going to be 32, which is going to be your stitch width. So they map it out. This book really is incredibly comprehensive, and it's obviously going to go with the machine as well. So any questions you encounter, they got you. All right, so let's set these now. So I'm going to set the stitch selector, first of all, to yellow. It only took 1 turn. This stitch length is already set in the yellow range, so I don't have to do anything to that. And then you got this little multicolor setting down here when you're not doing buttonholes for the stitch width, and that'll automatically have the yellow series in it. So we're done. We just have to zoom over to the needle now, and you'll be able to see this stitch off that cute little Scotty pattern. So again, you know, this is your stitch width, stitch length, and that's your reverse button in the middle, and your stitch pattern. We've set them all on yellow because that's the next one that we want to sew. Let me try to get in closer this time so we can kind of see it a little bit more clearly as we're sewing this little cute Scotty guy off. Kind of appropriate we sew a Scotty dog for Scott, huh? All right, so here we go. This again is going to be Cam I, and we're sewing pattern, the yellow pattern on Cam I, and it's going to be something that looks like a little Scotty dog. Here we go. And after doing all of this without changing my bobbin out, I hope I don't run out of bobbin thread. That would be horrible. Got plenty of upper thread, plenty on the spool there, but I'm not sure about that bobbin. I have run this thing and run it and run it and run it and run it and run it. But these bobbins for the Husqvarna Colormatic machine, especially this model 6030, they hold a lot of thread. All right, that's enough. All right, let me spin this around and we'll take a look at this pattern with this cute little puppy dog, or more appropriately called a Scotty. All right. And I got to clip my thread tails. You guys know me. I got to give that a quick clip. Come on there, clippers. I think my clippers are losing their clip. Will that actually stay? I bet you it won't. Maybe we can do it. Can we do it like that? Yeah, we can do it like that. Okay, let's take a look at that real quick and give you a chance to see that cute little Scotty pattern, the stitch pattern that we just sewed. All right, let me go over here. I hope I can get close enough. Actually, what I'm going to do, because I don't like the way that presents, I'm going to get really close on the needle, flip my screen around, and I'll stand this up because I don't like the way that looks from the edge. You really can't see the detail of it, and it really is a cool little pattern. Can you see that? Pretty spectacular, isn't it? I mean, this is from the late 1960s, early 1970s technology. We're not talking about a $12,000 embroidery machine. And, you know, all of these patterns, in my opinion, are absolutely spectacular. They really are. The needle swing that a machine like this has to do to accomplish that, I mean, that can by itself just make you go, are you serious? How the heck did they do that? Right? So, once again, this Husqvarna model 6030 is available for sale. It is just a spectacular machine. Yeah, there you can see it a little bit better, I guess. When it comes to decorative output, this machine comes, excuse me, it is pollen season. This machine also comes with a 1 amp motor, and you've seen enough Husqvarnas on this channel. You know what they can do from a heavy duty standpoint. I didn't demonstrate it in this one, and hopefully I don't get all kinds of nasty grams as a result of that, because I've shown enough Husqvarnas on this channel. If you want to sew 14, 15, 16 ounces of leather with this machine, it'll get the job done. If you want to do vinyl, if you want to do canvas, if you want to do upholstery type material, doesn't matter. With the feet of this machine, the power of the motor, and this does have an original Swedish motor in it as well. These particular 6000 series machines never had the Westinghouse motors in them. That was pretty much only the Type 21s that had those. But this has more than enough power to go through any heavy duty, light industrial even type sewing that you're looking to do. And it will deliver a stitch that absolutely is breathtaking. So if you have an interest in this machine, I would not drag your feet, quite honestly. I think it's going to move very quickly. Again, it's a Husqvarna Viking made in Sweden. It's just a spectacular machine. And along with it as well, I'm not a huge fan of these little caddies that slide over the free arm. You can stick your foot controller in there. You can store a bunch of other stuff. But that's going to come with the machine as well. And obviously a carrying case that the machine can go in also. So you're going to have pretty much anything you need. I might even throw in some extra needles just to kind of get you started. But, you know, again, fabulous machine. All I can say is I only have one of these. And I don't even know, I don't recall specifically having presented this machine on the channel before. It's possible I did. I know I've done the Model 2000, which was one of the earliest, it actually was the earliest Colormatic machine. But when it comes to the Colormatic series in that 6000 series, this is quite honestly one of my favorite machines. They made a number of improvements on it. They really did try to make it even less user maintenance intensive, although I still am the skeptic that says, you know, tell me it doesn't need lubrication and I'll find points that need lubrication, which I did. Again, it's got that automatic disengage when you're winding a bobbin over here, where you just slide the bobbin on there, the clutch gets disengaged. And you know what, just all in all, I think it's a very sexy, very beautiful machine, as are most of the Husqvarna Vikings. They're just a pretty machine, and they just like, wow, really? I get to sew with this? And this one, again, being part of that Colormatic series, they couldn't make it much easier when it comes to setting the stitch output. As long as you get that cam in the back properly, the machine is going to do everything else for you. And again, this one has been fully restored. It's ready to go to work. You just have to contact me and we'll make the arrangements so that you can begin to enjoy this spectacular Model 6030. What an incredible Swedish engineered machine that whatever you're looking to sew, it doesn't matter. It's going to get the job done for you. Okay, now before I get in trouble with His Royal Highness, I have to give attention where attention is due and just say, Your Majesty, thank you so much for decreeing a drilling and grinding plant back in the 1600s that eventually led to the production of this incredible line. Ooh, even the crescendo of music is working with me here. Lord, it's got me singing now. So, at any rate, thank you, Your Highness, for doing what you did so that we could enjoy what has become a household name on this channel, and that is the Husqvarna Viking Swedish beauties. Need I say more? I don't think so. Wish I knew the words to this. I could actually try to sing it. Bill, are you singing? I can't hear you. All right. Well, stay tuned for more great videos like this, where I'm presenting to you machines from my personal collection, owned by one person apart from myself, that can become the go-to machine for you in your sewing room at home or at your business. God bless you guys.